Even though 2026 has already given us some incredible games, there are still plenty of upcoming titles arriving later this year and next year that look absolutely worth waiting for. Today we're taking a look at 17 upcoming games that deserve a spot on your radar. The Witcher 4. When CD Projekt Red announced that The Witcher 4 would no longer focus on Geralt, but instead put Ciri in the main role, a lot of fans were skeptical. But honestly, I can't wait to play as her. Built on Unreal Engine 5, even the tech demo shown in June 2025 looked absolutely stunning. If that's just a preview, then the final game could be something truly special. What I'm personally hoping for the most is a major upgrade to the combat system compared to Witcher 3. If they can improve that, this could easily become one of the biggest RPGs of the generation. Crazy Taxi World Tour. If you ever played Crazy Taxi as a kid, then you already know how iconic this series is, and now it's officially coming back in 2027. One of Sega's most loved classics is getting a modern reboot, and visually, it already looks surprisingly good. This time, we're not just stuck in one city. We'll be traveling across different countries, meeting all kinds of new characters, and once again doing what Crazy Taxi does best, driving like absolute chaos to beat impossible time limits. Honestly, this might be one of those nostalgic comebacks worth keeping an eye on.
Run.
Magician's The Devil's Deal. Developed by Focus Entertainment Publishing and Uppercut Game, this is a story-driven first-person shooter set in Victorian-era London. You play as Jacob Menturo, a magician who made a deal with the devil, only to end up chained and thrown into hell. In order to escape a world called Theatralium, you must master different magical abilities and fight against rival sorcerers. It's also confirmed for a 2027 release, and will launch day one on Game Pass. From what we've seen so far, both the visuals and gameplay look really promising. What do you think?
And we've only just started to see it.
Atomic Heart 2. Even though the first Atomic Heart was a bit divisive, I personally really enjoyed it, especially its unique Soviet retro-futuristic dystopian atmosphere. Now the sequel is coming, and it looks like everything is being taken to the next level. We're getting a deeper RPG system, more complex gameplay mechanics, and choices that actually matter. In fact, it seems like the game could have multiple different endings depending on your decision. If they deliver on that, this could be a massive upgrade over the original.
Here's to playing in the mud.
Clockwork Revolution, a steampunk first-person RPG where you can literally alter the past and reshape the future. In Clockwork Revolution, you create a fully customizable character from scratch, and every decision you make changes how the world reacts to you. You'll also be crafting advanced steampunk weapons and tools, while manipulating time itself to solve problems and progress through the story. What excites me the most is definitely the world design and gameplay loop. It feels like a perfect mix of creativity and chaos. Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophet. Naughty Dog is stepping into sci-fi with Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophet. And honestly, we probably are not ready for what they're about to deliver. You play as Jordan A. Munn, a bounty hunter who ends up traveling to a mysterious planet that has had no communication with the outside universe for over 600 years. Your goal is to figure out what happened there, and more importantly, find a way to escape. We don't know much yet, but if Naughty Dog's track record tells us anything, this is definitely one to watch closely. Alien Isolation 2. After more than a decade, the sequel to 2014's Alien Isolation has finally been announced. This time, Creative Assembly seems to be keeping everything that made the original great, while adding something completely new. And honestly, this is what grabbed my attention immediately. We're not just trapped inside a spaceship anymore. There are outdoor environments now. Storm-covered planets, forests, open areas, and that same terrifying feeling that something is out there watching you, even if you can't see it. I loved the first game, but I have to admit that after a while, I started getting tired of seeing the same spaceship corridors over and over again. The new environments could be exactly what this series needed. The gameplay is still built around hiding and surviving. Fighting back isn't your solution, it's your last option. The xenomorph is smarter, the world is more hostile, and your chances of survival seem even lower than before. But honestly, that's exactly why we love these games.
Oui? Qui est-ce? So, you're the American who called earlier.
Resident Evil Code Veronica. Resident Evil Code Veronica was always one of the most underrated games in the entire franchise. The original was great, but it arrived during the transition to the PlayStation 2 era and slowly faded into the background, while other Resident Evil games stole the spotlight. For years, fans have been asking Capcom for a remake, and now it's finally happening. For longtime fans, this is huge news, and for players who never experienced Code Veronica back in the day, this might be the perfect opportunity to discover one of Resident Evil's forgotten classics. We haven't seen gameplay footage yet, but honestly, I trust Capcom with this one. For years, we've heard rumors about another God of War game. What nobody expected was that it might feature a completely different main character. God of War Laufey could be one of the biggest changes the series has ever made. Instead of Kratos, we'll reportedly be playing as Laufey, giving us a much faster and more agile combat style than we're used to. Of course, not everyone is excited about the idea of moving away from Kratos, but honestly, I think this kind of change could be exactly what the series needs. The game already looks fantastic, and if there's one thing Santa Monica Studio has consistently delivered, it's combat. God of War games simply don't miss in that department. So yes, this is definitely one of my most anticipated games.
Thanks.
I'll be honest, I never expected Until Dawn to get a sequel. The original game had its fans, but seeing a second entry announced still came as a surprise to me. This time we're stepping into a brand new nightmare with new characters, new locations, and an entirely new story. But the core idea remains exactly the same. Every decision matters, every choice changes the story, and the smallest mistakes can lead to the biggest consequences. Choosing who to trust, where to go, or even what to say could determine who survives until the end. The real question is, are you ready to make those choices again? Blood Message. Set during the chaotic final years of China's Tang Dynasty in the late 9th century, Blood Message sends players on an epic journey stretching nearly 1,000 miles across a dangerous and unpredictable world. From one city to another, every step of the journey brings new challenges, new enemies, and new stories waiting to unfold. What makes this project especially interesting is the studio behind it. This is NetEase's big AAA single-player project, and because of that, my expectations are honestly pretty high. There's a good chance we're looking at something similar to what happened with Black Myth: Wukong, a game that surprises the entire industry and becomes one of the biggest stories of the year. What do you think? Could this be the next breakout hit from China?
But the events are still etched in my memory.
Say hello to the new Lara Croft, because Lara is changing once again. And honestly, she looks better than ever. Legacy of Atlantis appears to be Crystal Dynamics' answer to one big question. Where does the Tomb Raider series go after the Survivor trilogy? This time we're diving deep into the mysteries surrounding Atlantis, ancient civilizations, forgotten secrets, and the legends buried beneath history itself. And of course, Lara is right in the middle of it all. Personally, I only have one major expectation from a Tomb Raider game. Make the platforming fun. As long as the climbing, exploration, and puzzle solving feel satisfying, I'm happy. Everything else is just a bonus. Wardogs. This is actually the only multiplayer game on today's list. Wardogs is a tactical first-person shooter that divides 100 players into 3 competing factions. The battles take place across abandoned industrial mountains in Eastern Europe, where teams fight for control points and strategic positions. It's not as chaotic as Battlefield, it's not as hardcore as Arma, and it's definitely not as fast as Call of Duty. Instead, it seems to sit somewhere right in the middle. Every move matters here. Every loadout costs money. Every team action earns resources for your side. The game is scheduled to launch later this year, and honestly, I'm curious to see if it can challenge Battlefield in any meaningful way. We'll find out soon enough. Breathedge 2. Another sequel is on the way. The first Breathedge was surprisingly fun, so seeing a sequel announced is definitely good news. The easiest way to describe it is this. Imagine Subnautica, but in space. You're building, crafting, upgrading equipment, and trying to survive while slowly pushing deeper and deeper into the unknown reaches of space. As you progress, the crafting system expands, your options grow, and the world becomes larger and more complex. If you enjoyed the first game, this sequel is probably already on your radar. And if you never played the original, this might be the perfect excuse to jump in.
Life.
The Talos Principle 3, finishing a puzzle game and then suddenly asking yourself, who am I, is a pretty strange experience. But that's exactly what the Talos Principle series does. Cruffium's games go far beyond simply solving puzzles. They force you to sit down and wrestle with some surprisingly deep existential question. You're a robot. What is consciousness? What is freedom? Does an artificial being have the right to define its own identity? The Talos Principle 3 looks ready to explore those questions on an even larger scale. Blind Descent. In Blind Descent, we're heading deep beneath the surface of Mars on a dangerous expedition into the unknown. As an open-world survival game, you'll be crafting equipment, building what you need to stay alive, and exploring one of the most mysterious planets in our solar system. The story begins when a research team sent to investigate a mining operation on Mars suddenly disappeared. Your mission is simple, find them. But as you explore deeper into the planet, you begin discovering enormous cave systems, strange ecosystems, and secrets hidden far below the Martian surface. And things get even stranger. As the journey continues, your character starts mutating, unlocking entirely new abilities that help you survive in this hostile environment. The game currently has a demo available on Steam, although we still don't have an official release date. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it launch sometime toward the end of 2026.
What does it take to vanquish what is bigger and meaner than you?
Outward 2. One of the reasons people fell in love with the original Outward was because the game simply refused to hold your hand. No glowing quest markers telling you where to go. No tutorial voice guiding every step. You're dropped into the world and expected to figure things out for yourself. And that's exactly why fans loved it. The first game was a unique RPG for players who were tired of always being the chosen hero destined to save the world. In Outward, you're just another person trying to survive. Outward 2 looks ready to expand on that formula, with a much larger world and 3 different starting scenarios that can completely change how your journey begins. If you're a fan of survival games, exploration, and RPGs that trust the player to make their own adventure, this is definitely a game worth waiting for.